Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in today's video I'm going to talk to you about something that basically in concept is very easy, but for me has kind of been this mental block. It's something that I've seen a lot of people who are camping and backpacking doing, but I've yet to do this myself. And so I found that, I've been at a little bit of a disadvantage. I have yet to really experiment or dive into this world. And finally, for the first time today, I can say I have a product that's going to help me be a little bit more comfortable when I get done with my hiking. So for the past few years, I've noticed that while I'm hiking and backpacking, that most people have some sort of lightweight footwear that they have with them other than their boots. Now, me being the knucklehead, I decided I did not necessarily want to carry any additional or extra weight in my pack to accommodate for any other footwear other than my boots. But when I get to my camp after a full day of putting on the miles, I still only have my boots to wear. So I got those, heavy boots on my feet. I'm tired, my feet are sore, and I wanted something to slip onto my feet to make myself a little bit more comfortable while I'm walking around my camp. Now what I have here and what we're going to take a look at today is some mesh hiking shoes from Louechy. These are the Louechy Ponrea Mesh Hiking Shoes. So I have to say, I did a ton of research to come across this product. I looked at all sorts of different footwear, everything from Crocs to sandals to sneakers to all kinds of different footwear, and ultimately this is what I came up with. Now we're going to take a close look at these, but I'd like to talk to you about this just in general terms. First and foremost, I wanted something lightweight. I wanted something that if I had to wear them across like a stream crossing or in a really wet situation, I could wear them and they would dry out. I wanted something that was easy, that could slip on my feet, that really didn't have any significant laces. I wanted something that offered a little bit of toe protection, reasonable grip and traction, because I will be wearing these in mountainous areas. I will be wearing these around water areas and things where I might slip, and I don't want to necessarily risk myself getting injured while I'm out there. I also didn't want a completely open design because I don't want little sticks and twigs and pebbles and rocks to get in under my feet while I'm walking around my camp area, and I didn't want my feet to be completely filthy. And after researching dozens and dozens, literally hundreds of products, these are what I found to be, hopefully for me, to be an ideal compromise, taking all of that into consideration. So again, these are made by Louechy. These are called the Ponrea. Now I have seen other products out there with a slightly different name. I will actually bring that up for you if I can find it. So I have seen multiple products out there that are very similar, but just in general concept, these are very lightweight. They are completely mesh. They don't have any significant laces, just a bungee sort of pull style retention here. Nice grip, reasonably flexible, some toe protection, some heel protection, and most importantly, they actually fit my feet really nice. Now for this particular model of shoe, there are multiple different colors. Personally, I opted for this olive green color simply because it's a little more subdued. It would kind of blend in a little bit better with some of my gear and not be overly loud. You can see here on the side there is some like lime green writing. You can't get away from that. All the models in different colors have it, but it's not a big deal to me. I think quite frankly it looks just a tiny bit cheap in a way. I don't know, it's just kind of funny. I don't need the word sport across the side of my shoes, but hey, you can't really do anything about that. I think, to be honest with you, at this point that is my single only gripe. Everything else about these I really like, and I'm very excited for this. I think this is going to be a nice product. So let's look at some of the finer details and why I think these are really going to work for me, given the scenario that I talked about and how I intend on using these. So as I discussed, I'm going to be walking around mountainous areas with these. I really wanted some toe protection. I did not want an open toe design. So if you look here, you do end up with this nice reinforced toe. I mean, it is a little bit flimsy, so if I was to really kick something, it would hurt. But in general terms, I have some pretty decent amount of padding and safety here. I mean, this will give me at least a little bit of a chance as to not hurt myself. So that is really a great part about these. I was drawn to that as part of the design. Not all shoes like this have that, so I thought that was actually very important to have this little bit of a reinforced toe. And in a similar fashion, on the heel, you end up with this nice high sort of traction area. Really gives you some good protection around your heel. So as you're wearing these things around the campsite and just kind of getting to work and in a place that's really, it's not going to be the easiest for you. And this is really pretty helpful to have just a nice good amount of padding and a good amount of grip and security on the back of your foot as well. Now, as I mentioned, I wanted something that was very lightweight, but could also be worn in wet areas that will dry quickly. So if you look here, this entire shoe is made out of mesh. Now you have your overall coarse mesh on the outside and a really fine mesh on the inside. Now that to me is super important. The coarse mesh on the outside is of course giving you a nice breathability and the real quick ability for these to dry out. But that fine mesh to me is even equally important for the pure fact that I do not want sticks and pebbles and things getting underneath my feet, between my toes, just becoming uncomfortable. So that fine mesh all the way on the inside there is going to be ideal in preventing some of those undesirable and unwanted things to make it into my feet. Now again, where I'm wearing these around the campsite, I really just wanted something that I could slip on easily. I mean, that's what's so desirable about something like, say, Crocs or clogs or something like that, where you just can really just slip them on. Now this gives me that same benefit, but it also has the drawstring and bungee drawstring here to really cinch it down if I wanted to. So, this is going to be nice where I want these to be really on my feet. Last thing before I go to bed, I want to take them off easily. If I wake up in the middle of the night, I have to go to the bathroom, or if I need to get these on in a hurry, really quick and easy. No real laces to have to deal with, which is nice. And so in that regard, this is a pretty simple system. Now these are pretty decent elastic. I think these feel pretty nice. Obviously this is something that's super easy, so if they were to break, it's very simple to thread a new piece of bungee through there if you wanted to change the color or whatever. The tags here, these little loops, they are like a nylon loop. They're fine. Again, keeping it lightweight. I mean, nothing super substantial. I'm not totally pumped about the color being this sort of white and green and blue. It doesn't necessarily match really the rest of the shoe, but hey, like I said, it doesn't really bother me. I mean, I'm not going out there for fashion. And ultimately, you do end up with a couple of nice eyes here that are, I believe this is either metal or it's like chrome-plated plastic. I think it's actually metal underneath this little plastic tab. It feels like metal to me. It's got kind of like a cool feel. So I think these ones here are actually a little metal eye. All the stitching here looks to be pretty decent. Overall, pretty well made. I don't see anything to me that looks like it's going to be any sort of a fatal flaw. I always like to look and see how a sole is connected to the rest of the shoe, and it looks like we have good contact. Nothing's really looking to pull off. There's no excess glue all over the place. I mean, these are pretty nice for the money. These are really pretty cheap. All things considered, a reasonably low budget item. Hopefully a lot of utility. Now, one of the things I realize I'm probably going to have to learn the hard way. These do have a sole on the inside, just like an inner sole, and I wonder if I do, say, for example, use these for like a stream crossing, if this is going to absorb any water. Now, the bottom is a very like rubbery material, but the top has sort of like a soft texture to it, and I can see this definitely holding a little bit of moisture, and it's hard to say how quickly this will dry out, but hopefully if you were just to lay it out in the sun or something, these would dry out pretty quick. And then the rest of this is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot going on. A little bit of fabric in there, if you can see that. Just a little bit of fabric on the inside here, kind of holding this whole thing together. It's actually what stitching is sort of holding the mass of this overall together, but at the same time, hopefully this will dry out really pretty quick. I can see this working pretty nicely in terms of a wet application, you know, walking through ponds or streams, or if you're using these for boating or anything like that. And this tread pattern here is actually pretty aggressive. Now there's a pro and a con to that. Obviously with an aggressive tread pattern, if you're in a muddy area, this can clump up and really build up on the shoes. I'm hoping these will clear themselves really easy so I don't have an overabundance of mud or dirt buildup. Obviously, if I'm wearing these in my camp situation and I'm going in and out of my tent, I don't want a lot of dirt to be clumped up on here, but I guess we'll see. I mean, you know, you really need a little give and take here, and for me, I'd rather have a slightly aggressive traction where I'm going to be using these in the mountainous and the woodsy areas. I'm going to be using these in the camp scenario. I may be using this around rocky areas, or even in you know, in the water, things like that. So to have a little bit more of an aggressive traction, I'm actually okay with, versus not having enough. So now just real quick to help illustrate my point, let's take a look at my hiking boots. Now, I'm going to be hiking around with these all day. These are 2 pounds, 0.9 ounces, so literally just at the 2 pound mark per boot. So I got like 4 pounds of boots I'm lugging around. I mean, that doesn't sound like a big deal, but I think you're all pretty aware of what it feels like to basically have these boots on your feet all day long. And now finally having the opportunity to get to my camp, shedding some of the weight here. I'm not even at a pound. These are 13.1 ounces. So a significant reduction in overall weight, the ability for me to hopefully slip into something a little bit more comfortable at the end of my day. Now, as I said, when I was doing my research, I looked at a whole bunch of different options. And let's just say, for example, one of my options was a lightweight running shoe. Again, even a lightweight running shoe is coming in a little over a pound, so 1 pound, 0.3 ounces. Another option that I had was to go with something more like a sandal. So these are just like a Teva sandal, even more. I mean, these are 1 pound, 1.5 ounces. So even though the sandal is a fully open design, it looks like it would be reasonably lightweight. It's actually not at all compared to these Louechy shoes. So this to me is a really great option. Nice, lightweight, has the ability to get wet, hopefully dry out, gives me the protection that I need, and it's very simple to slip on. So check, 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 check. Now in terms of the way these feel going onto my feet, as I mentioned, just really simple to slip on. Now I myself wear roughly a size 12 shoe, and I bought a size 12 here, and I can tell you that these fit very nicely. They're reasonably slim. I have kind of narrow feet, and so these fit my feet very, very well. If you had an extremely wide foot, I think these may be a little bit tight for you, but at the same time, they also should stretch. So, you know, I think my only concern would be if your foot was really wide enough that they would extend beyond sort of the tread pattern. My feet fit nicely and perfectly inside there. They actually fit kind of like a pair of slippers, but they definitely have that grip that you need and the protection on the toes. So these fit quite nicely and are pretty accurate to the size of shoe that I typically wear. So obviously, as I mentioned, I'm not out here to set any fashion trends, but with this nice subdued green color, I actually think they look pretty good. I mean, overall, these definitely fit me nice. They feel good on my feet. They have a nice sort of little bit of cushion to them. But, you know, overall, I think I'm going to be quite happy with these. So, alright guys, there you have it. A quick look at the men's Ponrea Mesh hiking shoes from Louechy. Well, I mean, you've heard everything I have to say about it. I mean, obviously you realize I'm pretty excited about these. I'm finally looking forward to enjoying my time at my campsite, lightening the load, taking a little bit of weight off my feet, and actually starting to feel good while I'm out there. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.